Hello, my name's Hannah Gardner. I'm consultant Admiral nurse for children and young people at Dementia UK. Today's session, I'm going to talk about children and young people living within families affected by dementia. We're going to explore a number of different areas. So today we're going to look at my role, the role of consultant Admiral nurse for children and young people at Dementia UK, and what we are doing at Dementia UK to really recognise these children and support that they need. We're also going to look at what do we call these children? What do children within families facing dementia want to be called and recognise themselves as, so we can access them and give them the right support and recognise their support needs? We're going to look at the challenges and the impact on these children living within families facing dementia. We're going to look at what do children and young people observe? What do children's eyes see within the family facing dementia? And also we're going to look at their needs and the tailored support that they need. And also going to add some resources that you might find really helpful in your roles in the community. So my role, consultant Admiral nurse for children and young people, is a very unique role. There's no specific role within dementia care that focuses solely on children and young people, nationally or internationally. Dementia UK recognise these children and the unique needs and support that they need. We know as Admiral nurses, dementia affects the whole family. So this role is about being that ambassador, being that voice, recognising them, developing resources, and opening up people's views and vision of what children and young people need within their local communities across the country as well. And the service was launched in June last year. So my role, it covers a lot of different things. So as consultant Admiral nurses, we offer that support in a advanced nursing practice standard, which covers 4 peers within nursing. So we operate on a national level at advanced practice over a number of different areas. So every day is different. So the pillar 1 is that advanced clinical practice. So the support that I give to children and advice and support is complex. So it's those skills, using those interventions and the complexities of working with children. It's a leadership, pillar 2, which is all about leading, being that ambassador and advocate for children, leading within the charity, leading within Admiral nursing, really trailblazing what children need and collaborating with other organisations to actually increase the support and leadership and direction of what children and young people need within families facing dementia. And pillar 3, education and learning. So things like going to conferences, talking at webinars, externally, talking to Admiral nurses about children and young people within our Admiral Nurse Academy, developing training programs, looking at ways of educating children as well, looking at the resources we have within Dementia K on our website to actually help support children understand what dementia is and for people around them to understand what it's like to be a child living within those families. And pillar 4, so I am an honorary senior associate at Bangor University, so my role is very driven by research. We know there is a lack of research out there. So it's about using research and developing interventions that work to support families and support the children. It's about looking at the unique needs of children. What do children want? And it's developing those programs and looking at opportunities to apply for research grants, looking at within Dementia UK, working with our research and publications team as well, looking at research opportunities. So everything I do, we collect data and there's evidence that can be shared to actually show nationally how dementia is affecting children and what support they need. So it's a real mixture of role. It's a unique role and every day is different, but we are really trying to raise awareness and that support for these children living within families facing dementia. So, children and young people. We know dementia affects everyone. We know that dementia ripples through families. We know as Admiral nurses, our role is about supporting families living with dementia. And I've got this quote from Barry Jacob, and I think it really summarises perfectly a diagnosis. It says a diagnosis of dementia is not just given to one person. It's given to the spouse, partner, a child, and the extended family. So that's why it's really important when families have a diagnosis that there is that family approach to a diagnosis because we know it's going to impact every individual in that family some way. They're going to be affected by it and have unique challenges and need support and recognition within the family and externally as well. And with children, dementia does affect the children within the families, and it's about recognizing how it affects them and how they are an unseen hidden group as well, how we can approach them. So I think it's really important when you're working with families to think of the whole family and including the children, be the grandchildren, the daughters, the sons, the nieces and nephews within those families. So when I started this role, one of the first challenges I found quite difficult is actually, so what do we call these children? We know carers don't like the word carers. We know, how do we support children if they don't recognise themselves as carers? What do they want to be called? And we know the Carers Trust do have definitions. So a young carer is someone aged 18 and under who provides physical, emotional support to anyone with physical health, mental health, addiction. We know there's definition of young adult carer, which is a person who does the same responsibilities but 16 to 25. So we know there's that overlap. But what do we call children? What do they want to be called? And I did this word cloud, and it really identified the number of names, labels that children have. So young people, niece, grandchild, infant, son, pupil, youth, teens, young dementia carers, infants. There's just so many different definitions. And it's about, what do children feel comfortable with? Do they recognise themselves as carers? But if we don't call them carers, will they not recognise themselves as carers and then not reach out to support? So it's something that is always in the back of my mind. And that's an area that is an individual label as well. We recognise children have individual preferences as well. So it's not a general blanket definition for everyone. But it's interesting to see the unique challenges and needs of a young dementia carer compared to a carer who may look after someone with another condition. Equally challenging. We know the number of providing care responsibilities for a family member with dementia is rising, so children taking on more care responsibilities. We know they're having elderly parents with dementia, so we know that the grandparents are living longer. We know we have a cure for heart disease and cancer. 1 in 3 of us will develop dementia sometime in our life, so it's a high statistic that children are going to be exposed to a family member with dementia. We know younger people with dementia more likely to have younger dependent children that need support, and their parental responsibilities to support those children can be impaired because of a diagnosis, and then those children take on more of that caring responsibilities and need that support. Lots of people are waiting longer to have children, so we know people, careers, mortgages, people sometimes are putting that before actually having children. They are older when they have the children, so as they age, the children will more likely having to take on some caring responsibilities for their parents because of just the age of the parent. There's no data to state or show how many young dementia carers we have in the UK, but the Carers Trust do have data on young carers generally. In England, there are over 800,000 young carers aged between 11 and 16 in England alone. And those are the ones that we know about. So you can imagine, just like dementia, there's diagnosis, there's many people out there, many children who may not be identified as carers. 1 in 5 children and young people are young carers. You think about a classroom of 30, there's quite a few, that would be quite a few within that class, within that school. And it's estimated that 1 million young carers across the whole of the UK. So that's a huge amount of young people in their prime childhood taking on responsibilities for a family member or a friend or a sibling. I think it's quite interesting that it's often when children reach secondary school, they realise their home life is different from their friends. So they may be taking on caring responsibilities, doing tasks, washing, looking after their sibling, or sitting with a person with dementia with some numbers to call in case of emergency, popping around to see Nan, make sure she's safe, just checking on her and seeing how she is. So it's often when they get to secondary school, when they look at people around them and they're that personal growth, that maybe a bit more self-conscious and aware of differences, and they realise, oh, goodness, my family is different. My home life is different. And that has a huge impact on school. So over a quarter of young carers aged between 11 and 15 miss school regularly. That's a high fact. A quarter of children who are caring miss school regularly. And that has an impact on their education, their exams, their future. 1/3 find that their caring role makes them feel stressed. And I have seen that in many children within families facing dementia, how it actually impacts their stress levels, their own mental health, their own well-being. 23% find their caring role has stopped them making friends. Is that due to the time to make friends? Having to rush home after school, weekends being full up, not being able to go to clubs, just not having anything similar to talk about because of their lifestyle and the isolation that young carers can feel. And 8 out of 10 young carers feel lonely during the summer holidays. So for young carers, holiday time is not a holiday. Often it means more increase in responsibilities and roles, responsibilities within the home, taking on more caring responsibility, be that looking after the siblings, be that looking after grandparents or their own parents as well. So summertime can be stressful, and the period of time that young carers may not actually look forward to because they know they're going to be at home more and have to do more tasks. But with young dementia carers, children living within families facing dementia, they have challenges, and working with these children have challenges. And at Dementia Carer, this role, we've identified some of the issues, not issues, but areas that you have to really think about when you're supporting children to enable you can access them and give them the right support. We know, as I said, children are hard to reach. We know the emotions of puberty that are going through, and a diagnosis of dementia in the family when you're feeling quite emotional and your body's changing and your personality's adapting, you're not sure who you are. That can be a big challenge anyway. But when you have diagnosis and a caring responsibility, you can feel very torn. There is that lack of research into what children want within families facing dementia. We recognise the lack of local support to support children. I know schools are very good for young care support and pastoral support, but sometimes that peer support that children need, want to get people around them who actually understand what they're going through and to talk to children in similar situations. The challenges of particularly this role is a national role, is supporting virtually. It has its limitations. We know children prefer in-person support, but accessing these children can be difficult because they need that safe space within their home to be able to talk and share their emotions in private without worrying the person with dementia is walking in the house or their siblings going to come in and interrupt. So that brings a challenge. Safeguarding. I know people don't like the word safeguarding. We know often safeguardings have to be raised because the family is struggling, not because of something they've done, or they're just lack of that local support from social services, the care packages, the respite. And that can actually put children at safeguarding situations where you have to raise a safeguarding to protect that child from harm and access support for the whole family. And that can be difficult when the family may not recognise it. So that can be a challenge, being that advocate for a child and what's in their best interests. We know that children's age ranges when you're supporting children. An 8-year-old is very different to a 16-year-old needs. The way they learn and engage with resources is different. So that brings a complexity. And you want to ensure it's an inclusive service as well, inclusive support that you're providing to all people who need support. So that is an area as well. Young onset dementia, as we know, is complex. And data protection and consent when you're working with children, how you hold children's data is very different to adults. And at Dementia UK, we have our children's privacy notice, which is on our website that we share as well to help children understand what we do with their data. It's important that they know how we hold their data and how they feel confident when they're engaging with us as well. And we are following national policy as well. And consent. How do you get consent from children? Virtually. Consent to access support. Often you have to go through the parent to get to the child as well. So it's actually the consent of the different ages of children using different ways of assessing capacity as well on children. So that has a whole challenge as well to actually, do they have the maturity and understanding of what support they can access? Do they understand how important it could be when you haven't maybe not got the maturity to understand what you're going through as well. And also the impact of dementia on children and young people within the family. Research has identified these areas, but with this role, we have definitely seen the impact and can very relate to each issue that I've come across. So the impact, so acceptance. This can be difficult for children when you can't see dementia, you just see the symptoms, accepting that someone's changing when you may not see, not like a broken arm that you can see. Dementia, you just see the symptoms and you have the good days and bad days and the fluctuations. And that can be difficult for children to accept that something is wrong with their relative, their relative's unwell. And particularly with young onset, as we know, young onset dementia is not often memory led, it's personality, language difficulties. So how do you get people around you to believe you that your parent has dementia when it's not their memory that's impacted? So that can bring a huge challenge. And that impacts that emotional impact as well. The emotions that children feel are huge. And then understanding and coping, who's teaching the children about dementia, who tells the children, what resources are out there to educate children to understand the condition, enable them to cope better with such difficult situations sometimes, and actually having that trusted adult to ask questions. And that's why it's really particularly important in my role that I am seen as that trusted adult who can provide information and support that's age appropriate and at the right level as well. We know children find it very difficult to share impact, putting into words what they're going through. We know adults find it very difficult, and that can be very challenging for children to actually share with their peers what they're going through. Maintaining a relationship when the person with dementia is changing can be difficult, and it's about recognizing the person is still the person and what is the disease, and maintaining that closeness and feeling like they're still connected as the dementia progresses, and that sense of loss that children can feel when it changes. We know when there's dementia in the family and their caring responsibilities, it can impact their own future, what they want out of life, opportunities. When you're a carer and you're having exams, do you have that time, that safe space to actually revise, which can impact your results, which can impact your future, impact if you want to go to university, progress. If you're a carer and you feel like you can't leave home because of your caring responsibilities, that has a huge impact on future. We know children feel isolated because of the unique challenges and because they can't always share and put into words and not know other children in similar situations. That can create a sense of isolation. And if you're not engaging with many friends because of your caring responsibilities, that it can heighten as well. And it's, like I said, can impact education and social life. You can't have friends over because of your home situation, or you can't go to friends' house because you can't get picked up, or you can't go to school clubs and socialise because it's very difficult to attend. So that has an impact on a child's social life as well. We know care environments aren't set up for children. We know hospitals, care homes, nursing homes aren't the best environment for children. It can be quite scary, and not always have the space to engage family time. And with this role, we want to look at resources to actually educate children about what's a hospital, what's a care home, what's a nursing home, what do people do in the care home, what's a day-to-day life like in a care home, to help them feel more connected. And also planning visits. Big part of this role is actually planning a visit to see someone in a care home. What can we do? How can we spend 30 minutes with someone with dementia and not feel uncomfortable? And often that's life story information, engaging in a short activity that suits the needs of the person with dementia as well. Huge amount of loss and grief, the loss of relationship they had, loss of the relationship they never had, the loss when the person dies, and the feelings of loss when the person is alive as well. And for children, these can be new emotions and very overpowering. Supporting family members. We know the impact of having a relative with dementia, and caring for someone with dementia can impact the whole family. And often children want to support other family members. They are worried about the well parent, they're worried about their other grandparent, they're worried about their siblings, they're worried about how it's impacting everyone. And sometimes they can feel quite helpless, and sometimes it's looking at what they can do to help their siblings, and vice versa as well. What can their family do to support them. And this role is about educating the other family members actually how to support the children within the family. Another impact is when you're a young dementia carer, is that transition into legal adulthood. So you could be 17 and be classed as a child. And when you turn 18, you're an adult and you're the main carer for your mum, grandparent. And that could be really scary time to understand your responsibilities taking on as a carer as you turn into adulthood. So that's an area that children really need that education to have that person to talk to and understand their rights and entitlements as well as young adult carers. But I do like to put a little positive spin on it. There are some positives in caring. If it can help with the child's self-confidence, maturity, sense of purpose, and a closeness with the person with dementia. We know it does, dementia in the family does bring emotions and challenges and can be quite upsetting. But there are some positives that can help a child identify a sense of purpose, a confidence that they're actually supporting someone, making a difference. Because I know children often feel helpless. They feel like they can't help. What can they do to help? But sometimes just giving them that task, spending time with the person with dementia, can actually enable that child to feel like they are doing something to help. They want to help. We often get that asked by children, how can I help my relatives? So that positive is important to look at as well to make children feel that positive, what they get out of their responsibilities as a carer. And what do children observe? Dementia is complex. We have good days and bad days. We can't see it. Children sense something is going on within the family. I know sometimes families don't want to tell the children about a diagnosis, but children do pick up on change. They're very aware of their environments and they're very aware of something might be happening to a relative. And often children notice changes in their daily routine, their home life, the weekend life, the after school activities that they can't do because they've got to go and see a grandparent or they've got to go to the care home or they've got to sit with dad while mum goes out to the supermarket. These daily changes in their activity and the fluctuations as well. We know caring for someone with dementia isn't always stuck to routine. It can change and that can impact your daily lives and the foundation of a child's life and safety within the home. We know the relationships and roles change, as I mentioned, that loss of family time, just being a family together is so important. You only have one childhood. And for that child to have that family unit and that safe environment regularly, and as dementia progresses, they may have a lack of that time, less time, and that can be difficult when the children reflect back at what they used to have and now how things are different. Emotion, stress, and isolation, care environments, like I said, children observe someone doesn't live where they used to live or a familiar home they once had, they don't visit, and that can be quite sad. They notice reactions, responses, and apathy from the person with dementia. So if they had a grandparent who was really engaging, used to ask them lots of questions about their school, their friends, used to really respond to their reactions and show them empathy, it can change. So it can be difficult for children to see that change and recognise that that person is different. And that can be hard. Sometimes children think that's them, they've done something wrong, or the person's changing, and the fluctuations, ups and downs of the diagnosis and the person can be very confusing. And because of this, children do have a lot of myths and unanswered questions. A number of questions that I get from children that they're worried about when it's a myth. They're worried they're going to catch dementia. Is it going to happen to them? When is my relative going to die? How long have they got? How can I help? All these unanswered questions, which can be sitting within a child and having no one to really ask in that safe environment, which is appropriate to their situation. And they often hold that worry because they're worried about the other family members. So what support do children need? So this role, we hope it's a start of identifying these children and young people living within families facing dementia. We want them to be seen, recognised and heard within the community. We want them to look at Dementia UK and see that we see them. We want in the communities tailored emotional support for these children within their education settings, within their communities, within their local clubs and groups, that emotional support and recognition for what they might be going through, and to educate the people in the schools of how a diagnosis within the family can impact a child's life. We want peer support groups. We know with Bangor University, we have put in a research grant and we are looking at developing peer support groups that can be shared nationally. We want support within education settings. We want educational resources for children to learn. We know children aren't going to pick up a leaflet. We want resources that are appropriate for children that they're actually going to use and access to teach them about dementia, teach them about care homes, teach them about all these strong emotions, and also create resources for people around them to recognise what they might be going through as well. And we really want children to have that creative outlet and the coping skills to cope through such a challenging time in their life. And really important, we want children to have a childhood. We want them to have physical activity and outside activities to enable them to have that real special childhood, but have that support around them from local carer groups and support. I've got this chart, which is really good, actually. It's from the NSPCC, the Family Bereavement, How to Support Children Through Grief and Loss. And it got me thinking about children and how we support children during grief of a loved one having dementia. And I think it identifies some key areas that can be related to the dementia families, but there's one area that I find quite stands out for me, which can be a challenge. So there's no right way to grieve. It's the first time of bereavement for a child, sometimes when they have a relative in a loss, feeling of loss, or someone with dementia that has died. Children puddle jump, so they jump in and out of emotions. So 1 minute they can be fine, next minute have real strong emotions. It's really important that we listen and validate to these children their feelings, and that support and what they're going through is normal. Those emotions are normal. There's so many varied emotions as well. But the one area that stands out for me, which is really difficult for families living with dementia, is that stability and routine. So we know dementia fluctuates. We know people can change. You have good days and bad days, and it is progressive. So that can be very difficult for families to maintain that stability and routine to support children. So I just find that a really interesting resource to really help us gauge how we support children through emotions such as grief and loss, which are very, very identifiable and you see a lot in the children. But we do have resources. So I'm working with Bangor University as an honorary senior associate. And we have Patri Masson-Nagar, who's produced the I Support for Young People. And it's a website. We've got a QR code here. And it's a resource that supports the mental health, knowledge and skills of young dementia carers. And it also can help service providers improve the support that they offer as well. So you can go on the website, and it's a program, step-by-step program to help educate young dementia carers. And with the research for I Support Young People, identified areas. These are what young people want. This is the young people's voices saying what they want society to understand about their situation. So number one is they want society to understand being a young carer means many different things to many different children. Dementia in the family can impact all aspects of a person's life. They want schools, adult services and young people services to speak. They want clear communication between each service. The right information is transferred between different teams and that support is put in place. Everyone's on the same page. They want support for the whole family. They recognise the whole dementia affects all the relatives. They want campaigns that resonate with them. They want to be behind them. They want to design them. You need to have young people's voices behind all the campaigns, all the resources that you do, because they are living in today's world as a child. And they want tailored support that's fit for purpose. They want that peer support, a chance to talk, and available as and when needed. They want to be able to jump in and out of support that suits them at the right time. And they also want specialist nurses, such as Admiral nurses, online and face-to-face to offer that support as well. So this is what young people want. This is their voices going forward. I support young people. So on the website, it has 5 different modules that the children can work through. So it's induction to dementia, being a carer, caring for me, which is really important, providing everyday care, dealing with behaviour changes. So the child, young person, yourselves can work for each module, and it helps them understand and gauge better understanding, enable them to cope better with their home situations with caring for someone with dementia. So it's really a great resource. So there is a QR code there, and you can go straight to the website. And we are, with our research, looking at the next steps actually to how to embed this more into peer support program for children. I'm just showing a little link here. So on our website, we do have a film for children to understand about dementia, how it impacts someone, but I will put that in the chat as well. And my final reflection really is working with children. One particular young dementia carer has given us this quote. She was a carer for her mum. Her mum had young onset Alzheimer's disease, and she started caring for mum when she was 16, and she felt that she was never seen or heard or listened to by health and social care professionals. She felt that she had so much information about her mum. She knew her mum's daily routine. She knew her mum's likes and dislikes. She knew her mum as a person, but never felt really listened to or seen. She felt invisible to so many people, and that was a very difficult part of her situation. So she's given this as a quote. So when you are supporting families facing dementia, do think of the children, and they have so much information, the young people, that can be really vital to the support that you give to people living with dementia. So listen to what they have to say. They know that person. They know what that person needs and what they need. So I think it's just really a reflection, really, when you come across families and supporting families, diagnosing new diagnosed families that dementia, there's so much information that children and young people hold that can be really vital for that person living with dementia's care and support. And we have some resources here as well on our website to help families support children, and also the Young Dementia Network. It's a fantastic website as well, which Dementia UK host, and have lots of resources, and then you can become part of the community network for more information. So yeah, please do visit our website. There is a section for children, but I will put it in the chat. I just want to say thank you so much for listening, and please do reach out to Dementia UK if you ever do need any information about children, and thank you for listening.